Hi, hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Happy Girl Alaska, I'm Terry. If you're new here, welcome. So today I've kind of been sitting in quiet contemplation and just thinking about the fact that I'm going to be turning 50 this year. I cannot believe it. I remember when I thought 50 was so old, and I'm just kind of like, no it's not. I keep moving the goalpost, y'all, basically. Yeah, so I just started wondering, like, what are some of the things, give me a second, I don't like how this, I wish I could, yeah. So I started thinking, like, what are some things that I can expect when I turn 50? And so, you know me, I took to the internet and started looking at some different articles and stuff. Some of them just, I got a kick out of them. So I wanted to share, I think it's about 15 or 16 things that I found that allegedly you can expect when you turn 50. So I'm interested in hearing from everybody. If you're 50 and over, I want to know if what they're saying is true. If you're less than 50, like myself, I'm 49, but if you're younger, I would love to hear from you too. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, and these aren't like in any type of priority or order, but the first one is loss of eyesight. Y'all, I have kicking and screaming, right? I've been fighting off having to go and get a pair of prescription glasses. What I've done instead is gone to Walgreens and picked up a pair of readers. And I know I would probably be better for it if I went and got some prescription glasses and or contact lenses. But the contacts, I've had contacts before and it's just a pain in the butt. But I remember when I first started noticing that my eyesight was worsening, and I just kept like blinking and rubbing my eyes, and I was like, what the heck is going on? You know, and I did wear glasses when I was little, but by the time I hit junior high school, I had trained my eyes to where I could see. I didn't have 20/20 vision, but it was well enough to where I could read and I could see things up close and far away. So to be in my late 40s and starting to have my eyesight get worse, it really was a blow to my confidence. I was annoyed as hell about it. And like I said, you know, I've been using the readers and they've been working pretty well for the most part. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead, you know, put on my big girl underwears and go and get my eyes checked and get some prescription glasses. Or I might get some LASIK surgery. But yeah, y'all, I mean, using Command Plus on the computer, and I'm wondering if maybe that's what's messing my eyes up. But then again, that part of the aging process, right, is you start losing your eyesight. So yeah, that's one. All right, number two. So I don't know how true this is, but you're a cheaper date. Now, one thing I will say is that as I get older, I notice that I don't stay out as long as I used to. If I'm on a date, normally it lasts maybe a couple hours and then I'm ready to tap out, especially the later that we decide to go out. And then also, you know, I don't drink as much, and I don't eat as much either. And I think that's one of the signs too that you're aging, is that your appetite, you don't eat as much as you used to when you were younger. Not like I would tear down the table or anything like that when I was on a date, but I'm cool just having an appetizer and a salad and a drink, right? And then as far as going out and doing things, you know, for me, a lot of it is experiences like, activities, you know, maybe going outside, going hiking, that kind of thing, you know. So I think that there might be some truth to that when you hit 50 or as you're getting older, that you're a cheaper date. All right, so this next one, this one is hard to come to terms with, and that is your skin starts losing elasticity. Now, I remember my mom used to hold her arm up and like play. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to see it, but she would like make that part jiggle. And I was like, oh, that will never be me. Y'all, I have some jiggle on my arms now. That just really annoys me. And then I noticed like my neck a little bit here is starting to get a little looser. I'm like, what the hell? What can I do? You know? And it's true. Your skin, oh, sorry about that. Your skin starts losing elasticity as you get older. So I'm like, do I need to apply more cocoa butter? I mean, what are some things that I can do to slow that down? But for sure, you know, it's biology. It's just the way our bodies work. As we get older, our skin starts to lose elasticity. Yeah. All right. So this next one here, it really hit hard and I felt like I was being attacked. You forget why you walked into a room. Here's the thing. I try to be as transparent as possible on this channel. So y'all have seen me. I have gone from the kitchen to this camera and forgotten what I was going to talk to y'all about. And I can't tell you how many times I had every intention of going in another room to go and get something or do something. I get in the room and I'm like, I'll be damned. I don't remember what I was supposed to be doing or what I came in here for. So that is a very common occurrence for people as we age. Short-term memory, right, starts to take a hit. So yeah, short-term memory loss starts happening as we get older, definitely after you're 50. So here's another one. The floor seems further away. Now, at first I was like, well, what do they mean by that? If I drop something on the floor, first of all, I'm annoyed that I dropped it, right? And then number two, I'm like, I feel like leaving it there because I'm like, I don't want to bend down to pick that up. And I shared in a recent video that when I go to do certain movements, especially like leaning down or bending down to pick something up, I'm making these weird groans and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of like, that's not cute. That is not cute. So yeah, definitely the floor seems to be a lot further away. Me, myself, I contemplate. I'm like, do I just leave it there or do I actually pick it up? And most likely I pick it up. But yeah, back in the day, you dropped something, it was immediate, stoop down, pick it up, whatever. Not so much anymore. All right, so the next one is hearing loss or distractions from other noises in the background. Now, I don't know if I'm experiencing that yet, but I do know that when I go out, so like this past weekend when we went out for the crawl and we went to a bar, it was loud in there. And we were talking to each other and I could not hear. And I remember before though going out to the clubs and stuff and it was just as loud. And for some reason, maybe people were shouting back then. I don't know. But yeah, I think there may be a little bit of hearing loss happening. I don't want to admit that, but it seems to be something that you can kind of anticipate after the age of 50. Again, I'm not 50 yet, but yeah, that might be something that is creeping up on me. And it sucks. Ooh, here is a good one. My sisters and I, we used to complain about this all the time with my parents. And it's that you think that what is happening with your digestive system is a good topic of conversation. You talk about how many times you go to the bathroom. You talk about things that made you go to the bathroom. And it's just kind of like, why is that a topic that you think people are interested in? But I find that every now and then I'll start talking to Kasia about my digestive system. And she's just like, Mommy, you said that's a sign of getting old. And I have to catch myself. But even if I'm having conversations with my friends, I don't know how it comes up as a topic, but it's something that we end up talking about. And one of my friends, we talk about it at length. And it's just, I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, so I want to start curbing that, y'all. Don't nobody want to hear about that. If that's you and that's something you're doing, cut it out. I mean, if you're talking to your buddies or whatever, and that's just what y'all do, cool. But I don't want to hear about that. You know, there are certain things that are just better left to yourself. All right, so this one, sex is worse. Or is it, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you both sides. So from sex being worse, as women, when we get older, you can start experiencing vaginal dryness. And if you're experiencing vaginal dryness, that makes sex painful. And then another thing is you could maybe just have a loss of libido. And same with men, they could have a loss of libido, inability to maintain an erection. So those things can definitely make sex worse. And then not to mention, if you have bodily aches and pains, so if you have lower back issues, if there's something going on with your knee or you have a stiff neck or whatever, you know, those can impact sex as well. And in that regard, it can make it feel or it can make that activity a lot worse. Now, on the other hand, sex could be a lot better because by the time you hit 50, for a lot of us, most of us, I would say, we know our bodies, we know how we want to be touched, we're comfortable in our skin, we feel confident in the bedroom, right? I think for the most part. So I think in that regard, it could be a lot better. And then you could also find yourself being a little bit more adventurous, less inhibited as you get older, right? Some of the things that maybe you consider taboo, especially if you were, let's say, I'm just going to touch on this for a second, and then this is going to be another topic, but some of the things that were considered taboo because you were raised in a religious household, as you've gotten older, you just kind of like said, you tried some things out, right? So I think in that regard, sex could be better. Ooh, so this next one hit home. It really resonated. Weight gain. Weight gain as you get older, your metabolism starts to slow down. It's harder to work off the pounds. Y'all, I remember first of all, back in the day, like when I was in my 20s, it was difficult for me to put on weight. For the longest time, I held steady at about 125, 130. But after I had my daughter, I noticed that it was harder for the weight to come off. But with dedication of about a couple months, I would drop like 10, 15 pounds. But as I've gotten older, more mature, I do find that it is harder to work off the weight. And sometimes it seems like it doesn't matter what I eat, how I eat, like the pounds just want to linger. They just want to hang around, And so I think it's the same for men too. You'll see men with the big protruding bellies and stuff. And it's just like, man, age really does a number on you when it comes to your physique. I mean, you have to be diligent about your physical activity and about your diet in order to maintain a healthy weight as you get older. So yeah, definitely weight gain is something that you can anticipate after the age of 50. All right, so here's another thing. And thank God for my daughter because she helps keep me current. But the people that are in the current popular culture are unrecognizable. I mean, I'll see different faces and stuff, and I'm just kind of like, who is that? I don't know who that is, and then my daughter, she'll educate me and tell me who that is and like what their story is and all that stuff. But I remember back in the day, flipping through magazines, newspapers, even online, I would see the faces that were like relevant for that time, and I wouldn't know who they are. I recognize them. But the older I get, the less I recognize the people that folks are talking about, the people that are trending. So yeah, that's definitely something that happens as we get older. All right, so this next one I feel is so liberating. I love it. And that is, you could give a flying flip if people are interested in the things that you're interested in. You might have a collection of things, and when you were younger, maybe you were hoping that if you shared what your collection was, that people would take interest, they would want to know more about it, and then if they didn't, you felt a certain way. But as you get older, you're like, listen, I enjoy it. This is something that I want to do. If you like it, great. If you don't, great. And I love that about getting older. People don't have to be interested in what I'm interested in. As long as I'm enjoying myself, that's all that matters. All right. And so this is another one that I think is very liberating, is that as you get older, you start to gain more perspective, better perspective. And my thinking now, if something happens that I really don't like or that I'm not really happy about, I'm kind of like, well, it could be much worse, So I injured my hand and it did bother me, but eventually I came to terms with, okay, it could have been much worse. Well, around that same time, a guy that I had met shared with me that he was diagnosed with cancer. And so putting things in perspective, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting up here whining and crying about cutting my finger, and this guy has a terminal illness, So you definitely start putting things in perspective as you get older. All right, so this one for me is it's ever evolving, right? And that is not sweating the small stuff. And one of the things I really enjoy about my more mature friends, so my friends that are 60 plus, is that if I come to them with an issue or a concern, they're able to help me dial it down, because they're like, okay, this is what's happening. They kind of help me look at it like, okay, but is it going to matter a month from now? Is it going to matter a year from now? You know what I mean? So I think as you get older, you learn not to sweat the small stuff as much, because you've been through so much. You've been through a lot of challenges. I would say everybody has faced some type of challenge on their way to 50. And by the time you hit 50, it's just kind of like, hey, I'm not even going to worry about that. That's not a big deal, whatever. All right, so this next one here, I haven't experienced it, but for some of us, by the time we turn 50, we've either lost a parent or we've lost both parents. Both of my parents are still living at the time of the making of this video, but I know quite a few people who have lost a parent or both parents by the time they're the age that I am now, and they're in late 40s. So definitely when we hit our 50s, we know our parents are a lot older. And as this one gentleman said to me a long time ago, they have a lot more years behind them than they do ahead of them. So that's one of the downsides, I think, to, by the time we hit our 50s. All right. So this next one here is bittersweet. Okay. By the time we hit our 50s, our children have left the nest. They're gone. They're off living their own lives, hopefully being independent, or at least in the pursuit of that. And I think being an empty nester is a blessing. It takes a while to get to that point, I think, especially if you enjoy your kids. But yeah, it's like a whole new chapter opens up for you, and you get to redesign your life however you want it to be. So yeah, definitely your kids have left the nest by the time you're in your 50s. It's something that's common amongst most folks that are 50 and over. All right, and so here's the last one. And I don't know how true this is. I'll have to ask Kasia, and she'll probably spare my feelings. But when your kids are younger, they look up to you. They think you're so awesome and you're so cool and you're funny and interesting and all that stuff. And what could happen is by the time you're in your 50s, your kids are kind of like, I don't know. I think it could go either way, because I think that as I got older, I had a newfound appreciation for my parents' advice and their guidance. But at the same time, I don't think I thought they were cool, right? And so that's the last one. Young people don't really think you're cool. And when I say young people, especially your kids, I remember my daughter used to think I was like the best dancer, and now she's just kind of like, even though she was impressed with that Instagram post that I did where I was dancing in the mirror. So I was just kind of like, oh, I must have done pretty good then. She complimented me on that. But yeah, young people don't really consider people that are 50 plus to be cool. And depending on where they're at, right? So like my daughter's age, they already think that if you're over 35, especially if you're over 40, you're old. And, a lot of times they don't think being old is cool. So there's that. All right, you all. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was mostly for entertainment purposes, but I got curious. I started poking around online, and I just wanted to share this with you all. So please comment. I want to hear from you all. The ranges of age when I look at my analytics is anywhere from 35 to 65. So yeah, please chime in, and thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, share, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.
Thank